What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and valuable information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and our guest to end the week is Joe Rychalsky, and he's a loan officer at Mortgage Network Solutions out of Wilmington, Delaware. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rocco. Really appreciate it. You got the name right. That's awesome. Perfect, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. So, Joe, can you please tell us just a little bit about yourself and maybe give us a brief introduction of who you are?
Sure. Well, I'm a loan officer for a mortgage broker shop in Wilmington, Delaware. I've been doing this about 5 years now. And primarily my experience was in the corporate world. I bounced around from credit card bank to credit card bank in the 1990s, worked my way into IT customer support. So I had a background in customer support in corporate America. And basically every couple of years was sort of putting myself out of a job, or company was basically outsourcing and getting rid of employees. So a family friend came to me and said, "Hey, I think you need to be in the mortgage business. You'd be great at it." And sort of the rest is history 5 years later.
So you've been in the industry for 5 years, you said.
Yes.
So you said what type of work did you do before that?
So the customer support and IT customer support. So diverse background at credit card banks, financial institutions. I worked at the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. So I took a train from Delaware to D.C. every day, which was great. Worked at Comcast and their IT support. So basically been around at every major corporation and nonprofit corporation.
Awesome. So when you made the switch to the mortgage industry, what made you really say, okay, this is where I want to be and this is where I want to stay?
Well, a family friend, as I mentioned, had said, "You'd be really good at this. You're good at customer service. There's a big part of that, and you have a good heart, and you like getting things done. You're a go-getter." And he really just convinced me, said, "I think this is a great opportunity." And then I started doing some research on it and sort of understanding how the processes work and what it's all about. And it just seemed sort of a natural fit for me. I really liked what I was hearing, what I was reading. And I just jumped at the chance of it to really be able to help people. And then as I, had the customer support experience, I think the ability to be the person that really helps somebody get into their home is really what's amazing. I get chills every time I see somebody, even if it's a refinance, they're buying an investment property, or they're purchasing the home for the first time. It's so amazing to see that you've actually helped somebody get to that point and get them in, and see the keys right in front of them turned over and they're in their house.
Absolutely. So you are at a broker shop out in Delaware.
Yes.
So for the viewers that are watching, can you explain what a broker shop is and what are some of the advantages to it?
Sure, absolutely. So a mortgage broker shop, we actually are not necessarily a direct lender like a lot of these retail lenders are. So we basically handle loans and broker them out to wholesale lenders. So we have about 46 to 50 some lenders. So I originate the loan, and then what I do is I actually broker it out to a particular lender that I see fit. And that way I'm able to really work and get, borrow the best rate and terms that are actually out there. And it's nice because you have the ability in so many different, programs, resources and things like that you can utilize. And it just makes it a lot easier. Obviously overhead's low because you're not underwriting it. You're sending it to lender to underwrite. So you don't have that. Yes, you do rely on the lenders for a lot of things, but if you choose who you do business with, it makes it a lot easier. But it's a world of difference in retail.
Absolutely. So the retail lenders, they only have their rates. The brokers, they're able to shop all the rates around. So they have a lot more options, which obviously would lead to better rates.
Yes, and I think that's the nice thing too, because at the end of the day, a lot of people want the best rate and terms. That's a big thing people call in on, and you could shop it around and say, okay, I have lender A here, lender B, lender C here, and this one's about an eighth better on the rate. I'm getting a little bit of a credit for them. This is a perfect opportunity, and to be able to do that with everybody consistently is really an amazing thing. And then you have grant programs for first-time home buyers that are really attractive. Just loan programs, what they call like renovation loans and things like that, where somebody can see a house and they say, this isn't really what I'm looking for. I can see it, but if I, have some work on it, I can do something. And a renovation loan, they can get into a home and make it the home of their dreams, while they're living in it, which is great too. And that's, I think, the fun of a broker shop.
Definitely. And speaking from, getting them into the homes of their dreams, and you said you love handing them the keys, what would you say is the most satisfying, fulfilling, or rewarding thing about your job?
I think really when you're at settlement, when you can see that you've actually helped somebody who might have had a challenging situation. Let's say you have a challenging bar, might have some credit challenges, or they're struggling with, let's say there's something that happened on the appraisal or the home inspection, or they're just having some general challenges, whatever it is. Sometimes loans go sideways, but I think what's most rewarding is when you all get through that struggle and work as a team. You work as a team with the realtor, I work as a team with the buyer. And then when you're sitting there at settlement and you see all the work and fruition of everybody together, coming together in one final thing, it's awesome. And I think that's the most satisfying thing to me is when person signs, you shake hands and you take the picture and they're either crying or they're just so happy that they got in the home of their dreams, they got an investment property now they can make money off of, and it's a great thing.
Definitely. For most people, that'll be the biggest investment they ever make in their entire life.
Yep, it's a very big decision.
So shifting gears here, when you started 5 years ago, what were your biggest struggles or obstacles that you had faced early on?
Sure. I think the biggest struggle was really learning a lot. It was a whole new environment for me, learning a lot about, the rules and regulations. At that point, what was coming into play was TRID. They were taking the old good faith estimate, combining it into the new loan estimate and closing disclosure. There was a lot of changes. So I struggled with that in the beginning, really trying to understand all that. And then also too, building a business from scratch, building your own pipeline and business. But one of the things that propelled me through that was I was in customer support in financial services. And when I went to the Red Cross, they took a chance on me. They loved my customer support experience. I had no IT experience. They took a chance on me. And I just rolled up my sleeves and learned everything as best I could. There were a lot of nights, 7-day work weeks, working around the clock. And that's kind of what I did in the beginning here. Sort of that same strategy of really learning as much as I could and just trying to overcome those hurdles and challenges as best I could, and it paid off pretty quickly.
So what would you say were the biggest things that translated from your customer support job to now being a loan officer?
I think the biggest thing is listening skills and patience. You really, as a loan officer, you really have to shut up and listen to what your customer is saying, what the realtor is saying, what the appraiser is saying, what the underwriter is saying. I think, as humans, we love to talk. We love people to hear our story. We love to, kind of put our 2 cents in. But I really think you got to really just stop and sort of smell the roses, or stop and just listen and hear what the person's saying. Because sometimes when you really stop and listen, let your borrower talk and let the realtor talk, you really find out some interesting things, and you really find out, okay, is this really the loan program for them? Now that I've actually listened to them, now this might make better sense going this route. Maybe going FHA loan is better than going conventional. So I think, just the ability to really listen good and listen effectively is key. And just shutting my mouth and, keeping quiet.
Absolutely. Listening is definitely a skill. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes.
So let's say that you brought someone under your wing and you were to coach someone new in the industry. What advice or what tips would you give to a loan officer that is just starting out?
I think the biggest, tip is learn all you can as quickly as you can. Get your feet wet, and it's really baptism by fire. Get in there and start doing loans. I see a lot of, new loan officers coming in, or people who might just be in the business just a short time. And, as humans, we get fear. We have a lot of fear. Is this the right thing to do? Is this the right way I need to proceed with this loan? I think the biggest thing is just step past that, step out of your comfort zone, get out there and start doing loans, and have a mentor as well. That was one of the things that worked well for me. And I still have a mentor side by side with me, a guy named Rich, and he's been in the business 33 years. So learn all as you can and really get a mentor. That way you learn as much as you can. You get that experience from somebody. So you're not reinventing the wheel, recreating the wheel. You're getting a lot of good tips and tricks that can help you be successful right up front.
Absolutely. And I have multiple mentors and coaches, and the biggest thing is just using their experience. Now it's good to learn and experience for yourself. And, if you have a problem, then the next time you'll overcome it. But it's also good to learn things before that problem happens so you can prevent it. And it definitely shortens the curve. So let's just say it would take you 10 years to get where you're at, and you can do it in 3 years. That's the biggest benefit that I see.
Exactly. And even too, just asking questions. Like, I'm very self-aware of things, and I always ask them, like, hey, how did I handle that? Did you notice anything? Or I just felt I struggled with it. What did you think? And just be open to that feedback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in recent years, we were kind of talking about this before we started the show, but in recent years, technology and social media, it's really made its way into the industry.
Right.
So how would you say this has affected you in your business?
I mean, I love the technology. Technology, I would say 20 years ago, I was not a fan of change in technology, but I love technology. A lot of family members of mine have a joke. He's always on his phone, but you do everything on your phone. You order your coffee on your phone. You get start your car from your phone, turn your alarm off, program stuff inside the house. And I do basically everything on my phone, banking, whatever it is, check the stock market. So you have to really embrace technology. And I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to connect with people who I've not been able to connect with, in the past. And you just connect with realtors that way. It's very playful, when you're going back and forth on a post, somebody has a really good insight to something. But I think the whole, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all, it's just, plus there's so much resources out there now too. People are putting good content and good videos for loan officers to really help and grow as well. And that's a huge thing. And then even in the process of, underwriting now, a lot of the companies I use have technology where things are so much automated now. And it's really nice to see where with one company I use, they will actually send a quick video out on my behalf. And it's like it's coming from me, but it's going to my bar saying, hey, your loan's in underwriting or your loan's closed now. And that technology 5 years ago wasn't there, but it's really nice. It makes it a nice personal touch. It really is neat to see that.
Absolutely. Technology definitely, it definitely makes life easier.
Yes.
And it definitely allows you to streamline processes and just allows you to, handle tasks that you could do on your own, but you should be focusing on better things like the communication you just said. It sends out
Yes.
automated communicated messages.
Yep.
So what modern strategies are you using right now to
Yeah.
take advantage of the technology and social media?
Right. I think definitely, utilizing some of those lender systems where they can send automated messages out for you. There's a lot of ways you can create flyers and marketing materials very easily. I run a lot of Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn ads. So I'm very big on social media. I have my own, equipment now, camera, microphones and things like that. So I've taken, great advantage of that technology. And that's where I started in school was in, video production, things like that. So I've been able to really build on that and create some educational tools for borrowers and realtors out there. And even just being able to run a Facebook ad and get leads and be able to connect with people like you never have, it's truly amazing. And it saves a lot of time and energy when you put that ad together and make it make sense and make it work. And you have automated leads popping in. It's a great thing.
Absolutely. I've seen some of your videos on Facebook. You're definitely crafty with the drone and the production.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. And my kids are kind of getting into that too. So I've utilized them a little bit for help. And I think for me, it's just a great way to express creativity, the freedom to do things. And I think that's a nice advantage of a broker shop. You really can sort of have your personal brand out there as well too, with a company brand as well. And it's a nice mesh and a nice fit. And we do a live Facebook show, my colleague and I, every week. We're doing it more frequently now with all the changes going on. And we've stepped up our game where we got nice microphones, lighting and things like that, and just making a real nice production. And those little things really go a long way to help.
Yeah. So what ways are you trying to brand yourself in? Is there like a certain niche or style you're branding yourself?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when I started in this business, I was in IT customer support. So I'd be getting the 3 a.m. call, the 2 a.m. call in India on the weekend. At dinner time, we're out with the kids at dinner somewhere, or a movie. 6 p.m. The phone's ringing. Hey, we have an IT outage or something like that. So I kind of branded myself as I'm available 24/7 by 365. And let's think about it. We're in a world right now where everything is moving constantly. Change is happening every day. I mean, you see what's going on right now. Things are happening so fast, and it's a different world. People work night shift. People aren't available during the day. They're taking kids to school. So I actually branded myself as, hey, I'm available 24/7 by 365. You can call me anytime. And I even put out there, you can try me. I had a realtor call me at 10:59 on a Saturday night, and I picked up the phone in 2 rings. So it's kind of a joke that's going on around here. But some people were kind of like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Why would you do that? But to me, I just felt, look, we're in a modern world right now, and this is what's needed is the ability to connect with people at all times a day. And I think that's where business is going. You got to be connected, and you got to be able to work with people throughout the day and evening. So, but you got to have a good balance of it too.
Absolutely. Speed is key. And you said you run a lot of ads, and speed is key when it comes to conversions. So lead to contact ratio needs to be very fast and it increases the conversions. And I was talking to Anthony on the podcast. I had him on. He said that he knew this guy he had a job during the day and he was a loan officer at night. So he branded himself as a 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. loan officer. And
Wow.
he said he got a lot of business that way, and he really found his niche. So he said that's like a good piece of advice you would give to someone that's just starting out is brand yourself in an effective way. And that guy had an effective way.
Yeah, and I just sort of took, it's like when people take names and kind of combine them together, like Amazon, bringing up that company, not like that, but obviously, just bringing in the IT customer support and then into the mortgage business. Well, what can I do differently? And I was always kind of curious as to why loan officers were not answering calls on weekends, on a Friday night, and they're doing this or that. I'm like, hey, I got to put food on the table. I got to save money. I've got to make money. So I got to be available. And it really proved big in the beginning because realtors were doing open houses. I was available for those to help them, and I was doing pre-qualifications on the spot within the hour, and it really paid off well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally can hear you on that. That they don't take calls on the weekends and after 5. So we have our clients, right? And when the veteran comes through our program, there's some crazy stat where it's like if you follow up within 5 minutes, the contact rate goes up by like over 100 times. And if you follow up within 5 minutes, the chance that it enters the sales cycle is like 21 times, which is insane. And we had clients in the past who they wouldn't text back, not even a phone call, just a text back after 5 p.m. or Saturday or Sunday, which blew my mind because they're responding to you and they wouldn't even text them back, which takes 3 seconds.
It's crazy. And then with my Facebook page that I have, it says, I respond very fast or timely, or there's that badge on there. It says respond in 5 minutes. And I love that. Now, I think it's tough to do. And I've worked hard at that over the years. And, it's funny. I was just out at lunch today and I had to pull the cart because I saw a message come up. All right, you got to keep my times down because, I don't want to lose business. And when you do that, I'm like, wow, look, he is responding very fast and people see that and it builds up the trust. So it's huge.
Yeah. And I used to say I used to not respond right away because it would make me look desperate. But that's the complete opposite. Everyone wants to grow their business. So you're not desperate. You're just doing what's right.
Yeah. And it's about like you add that in the listing. And when, I call people or they message me and say, hey, how can I help you? And that's it. And that way you're not sounding salesy or kind of like you said, desperate. You're just really just being there to help. And it's that customer support that you bring to it.
Absolutely. So where would you say, where would you see all of this going in the future in terms of social media and technology in the mortgage industry specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've actually been thinking about that a lot lately with everything going on. I really think, and as I said, I worked at Comcast before, so there's a lot of automation and virtual reality type stuff going on. So I think that piece is going to happen, especially with the coronavirus going on right now. I think you're going to see a lot more virtual reality automation coming into it, more virtual e-closings and things like that. I really think the big thing is as a loan officer, because there's so many loan officers and real estate agents out there, you got to be omnipresent online. I mean, this device here, the phone is not going away. This is our primary business, and you got to be connected on that at all times with people. And I think you got to stay true to that and just be available as much as you can for people.
100%. So let's go to the buyer side now. What do you see? So let's say you're working with a client. What do you see as the biggest misconception they have or fear, if I would just say that, before they start working with you in regards to getting a loan?
I think the biggest misconception, and it happens just frequently too, that a lot of people have is they always believe that rates are always going to be extremely low, and unfortunately there's people out there that mislead and do false advertising. And I can't stand that. It drives me nuts. I feel like they're really, walking a fine line or over that line. And, I get people that come to me and say, well, I'm getting quoted, 3% or this or that, or, hey, this guy called me and said the Fed's lowering the rates. Well, the Fed didn't lower the mortgage interest rates, lower the rate, help with credit cards and things like that. Eventually that'll come into play into the mortgage space. But a lot of people come and they really feel like the rates are always low, or there's some magical thing that can happen. I think from a fear perspective, from a customer, really not knowing, what they can afford. And I've also kind of branded it this way. I said, you've got to meet with your mortgage loan officer first before you do anything, before you go out looking, before you go on Zillow, Trilla, before you meet with a real estate agent. Because, buyers come in and have a lot of fear. They know what they know. They don't know what they can afford. They don't know what kind of home they want. There's a lot of questions. And I feel like, getting up front, you cannot knock all those fears out by doing a pre-qualification. You give them the paper, says, this is what you can afford. This is what your payment's going to be. This is the rate I'm quoting you. Knocks a lot of that fear out. So that way I feel like the home buying process is a little bit more easy for them, where they feel more at calm and at peace, and they go out and just enjoy the process versus stressing of not knowing what they can afford or what they can do.
Absolutely. And do you work with a lot of first-time buyers?
Yes, I have a lot of first-time home buyers that come in. We had a lot of grant programs that are out there, and obviously as times are changing, those are disappearing a little bit. But I do, take that customer support experience and really walk the buyer through the process. And, then I shut up and say, okay, now it's time for me to shut up. What questions do you have for me? And I always ask at the end of every call, even at closings. It's funny. My buyers will be like, well, what do you mean? What questions do you have? We just closed. I'm good. I'll see you later. I'm like, no, I don't go away. I'm always here. Is you have a statement question or something comes up, you can call me even after. And I get buyers that call me, 6 months, 6 years later, 5 years later. Hey, what are the rates doing? So I really try to make sure with a first-time home buyer, I educate them and they are empowered to know exactly what's going on at all times as best they can.
So what would you say is the number one most asked question that you receive from first-time home buyers?
The number one, there's a lot of good questions. I think the number one question is, they'll ask is, what can we afford and how much do we have to put down? I think down payment question is always, a big thing. People are, concerned with what they have to put down. There's a little bit of misconception of, I still have to put, 10, 20% down. There's some programs, 5%, 3%. So down payment's always a fair one to get most of the time.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, I really want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your Friday afternoon to talk with me today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Rocco. This is wonderful, and I appreciate your time as well. And thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to all the viewers for tuning in, and we will see you for the next episode on Monday.
Great.